My mum was struggling with alcohol, and from that she developed liver disease, which made her end up going to hospital. And in hospital they told her to stop drinking, and they really put her away from the alcohol. And from that she lost her memory. The effects on her body were severe because she couldn't handle it, so her memory started to be affected. When I went to go and see her, I remember she couldn't remember who I was, and she started to blame me for what was going on because she thought I was part of the people in the hospital who were trying to help her. So she started to blame me about the issue. Personally, I couldn't take it. So when it came time to use the oil, I didn't have faith to do it, to be honest with you. I just wanted something to happen. And I believed in God. And I didn't have the faith to call out on him. I didn't know what to do. So I just went there and I poured it on her, literally. I just put it on her and I asked God, just do something. I didn't know what he could do. I didn't know what I wanted him to do. I just needed help. When they were giving out the oil, I remember the pastor speaking about it. And for me, it was the only thing I had at that point, because I didn't believe in myself. I knew I couldn't do nothing. I didn't believe that the doctors could do anything. I almost accepted that I'd lost my mother, and the oil was the only thing I had. So when I used it, I left the hospital thinking it's in God's hands now. There's nothing I can do more. And from there, eventually, she got better. She left the hospital, and as time went on, she started getting more and more better. She's not only gotten over that part in her life, but she's started to get rid of the alcohol permanently, and she's becoming a better person. So now I'm happy about the situation, how things turned out, and through it I did learn to develop my faith. I learned how to use the faith and how the oil worked and how God could use it if I just combine my faith with it. And I'm looking forward to receiving the new one, and I'm going to use it more and more often to make things go further.
Hello, a very good evening and welcome to Finding Answers. You know, one of the things that we tend to do as human beings is that when we're stuck in a problem, when we get upset with something or angry with something, we let our emotions take the best of us rather than trying to solve that problem with our reason, trying to reason a solution to that problem. And that can make a small problem become a very big one. I mean, think about it. How many times you were in the middle of an argument or a situation that was getting a little bit heated up, and then you let your emotions take the best of you and you said something you regretted. I mean, perhaps you have been in a situation where someone challenged you for a fight, and at that moment it seemed like a good idea for you to retaliate, and perhaps you got into trouble because of that. And how many people, they end up losing their jobs, losing a relationship because their emotions got the better of them. I have heard in my work, in dealing with couples, a lot of men saying, look, I love my wife. I want to spend the rest of my life with my wife. Unfortunately, someone hit on me, and at that moment I didn't think straight. I let my emotions, my feelings get the better of me, and I'm paying the price now for what I did. And the thing is, we cannot get rid of our emotions. We can't separate emotions from our life, and emotions have a place in your life. The trouble is when you act with your feelings, with your emotions, rather than with your thoughts, with your reason, and that can bring very, very big problems. And not to mention, we also have the problem when you can't control your thoughts, negative thoughts. Now, I have a new colleague here with me tonight. Alvaro, how are you?
How are you, James?
You okay?
Thank you.
We were talking earlier about not just the negative side of feelings, but also when people can't control the way that they think, the negative thoughts that go through their head.
Exactly. James, I was reading here about neuroscience. And there is an article very nice here, by the way, that talks about this topic. It says here, your thoughts are an inner dialogue. Mm-hmm. It's like you're talking to yourself. Mm-hmm. And I was very surprised here now, you have an average of about 6,000 thoughts. Can you imagine? 6,000 thoughts a day.
That's a lot of thoughts.
A lot of thoughts. And the problem is, out of these 6,000, which ones are good and which ones are bad?
Yeah.
Because as we know, the thoughts, they can trigger emotions. People are not aware about this. They think that emotions, they trigger thoughts, but the opposite is what is true.
Yeah.
And many people are right now watching us, and they may be feeling depressed, feeling sad, and they have to start wondering, what have I thought about? What is leading me to feel depressed?
Yeah. And a lot of people, for example, Alvaro, you were saying there about the thoughts that they have to fight with, because a lot of thoughts, you don't invite them into your head,
Yes.
right? You don't wake up one day and think, I'm going to think bad stuff about myself, negative things about myself. It's just that unfortunately these thoughts come up. And when they come up, you have to know how to deal with them.
Exactly.
And if you don't, this starts to take over your life. You were saying that how many people are depressed now because the thoughts are there saying, look, you know, you're going to fail, it's not going to
Maybe
happen.
they had a problem in the past, relationships that didn't work, and the thought keeps telling them it's not going to work, it's pointless for you to try again, you know, spare yourself. It's a thought.
Yeah.
And people have to understand that the thought is leading them to feel weak, to feel sad, depressed.
Yeah.
But there is, of course, there is a solution. We are here to help them, you know, to understand how emotions are triggered and what they have to do.
And I just want to give you an example now before. I will have a video that we prepared to illustrate this. Just want to tell you something. Perfect example of feelings and emotions. I went out for a run this evening, and on my way back, I saw something that I stopped immediately because I had to stop. I was coming back home, and I saw, Alvaro, a dad with a 6-year-old boy sleeping on the street next to a restaurant.
Very sad.
Now, I stopped, and immediately I felt like crying because it's a 6-year-old boy. But then I said, no, if I cry, it's not going to solve his problem, right? He's still going to be there. So my feelings were to cry, poor boy. But I said, look, that's not going to solve the problem. So I called a colleague of mine. I said, look, let's see if we can find a shelter for them. Go there, try to speak to them, see if we can do something tonight, because they can't sleep. They're on the street. And sometimes a person is going through a problem, and they think, if I cry, it makes me feel better, but it doesn't solve the problem.
Exactly.
If I scream at you because I'm angry at you, makes me feel better, but it doesn't solve my
Or if
problem.
I hold a grudge against you, yes or no? Some people think that by holding a grudge, that's the solution.
Yeah.
And when we know that that's going to destroy even more the relationship.
Absolutely. I want you to have a look at this video, and then I'm going to come back and I want to tell you how we can help you, how we believe we can help you for you to deal not just with negative thoughts, negative feelings, but how perhaps you can overcome this. Have a look at this video.
Thinking and feeling lie at opposite ends of the spectrum. Many people tend to confuse the two processes. It is not uncommon to hear feelings couched as thoughts and thoughts presented as feelings. Although there are obvious exceptions, a thought is something someone generates, while a feeling is something someone experiences. So, when a thought or feeling becomes more intense, other functions fade. For example, when someone is feeling anything intensely, it becomes even more difficult to concentrate. Like a person parked with a car on their foot will have great trouble trying to solve a mathematical exercise. Similarly, someone lost in a problem-solving exercise might forget that they once had a pain in their knee. Neither thinking or feeling is singularly the right choice, but we must learn which to use first. So, are you a thinker or a feeler? Let's find out.
And by the way, we're not just here to find out if you're a thinker or a feeler, because feelings have their place in our life, right? I love my wife, and that's a feeling, right? But the thing is, maybe you're being a victim of negative feelings. Maybe you're paying the price of negative feelings, of hatred, of not being able to forgive, like Alvaro said. Or perhaps you cannot control this. It's like these thoughts, these negative thoughts about yourself, about your life. It's like they're a dark cloud that you can't get out of your head, it's like it's hanging over you and you can't get rid of it no matter what. And it must be very difficult, very bad to live a life where even your thoughts are against you. Sometimes people are against us, but when your own thoughts are against you, telling you you're not going to make it. And how many women say, look, I can't look myself in the mirror because I think I'm ugly.
Exactly, yes.
It must be difficult to live like this.
Very much. And especially women, as you were saying, many of them, they suffer with low self-esteem.
Mm-hmm.
And usually...
Come here, Pastor.
Yes.
Stand here next to me.
Okay.
I mean, look at this. I mean, I could feel low self-esteem because you're a lot taller than me, right?
Exactly.
But I don't have that problem. I've never really been an issue for me. But there are men, you were saying a lot of women, but some men as well.
Men also, definitely. You're talking about stature, how many people they say, I'll never succeed because I'm short. Or they start saying, I'm not going to succeed because I didn't have studies, I didn't have qualifications. And they start diminishing their values, putting themselves down.
And how many people, they think that they're not going to succeed because they were told growing up, you're not going to succeed. And those thoughts, perhaps they're there in your mind. Now, I want to invite you for you to do something if you want. We have a team of people ready now to speak to you if you're going through something like this. And you can call us now to speak to them. If you want to speak to us live here, you can. But if you want to speak to someone now and say, look, I'm going through this. I find it really difficult. I struggle with the way that I think about myself, the way I think about my future. I don't really think I have a future. Actually, someone said to me last week, look, I don't think I have a future at all. And if you're struggling, just like we were explaining, you have this battle within your thoughts and you want to talk to someone right now where we're going to pray for you and support you, then feel free to give us a call now. The number is 020-7686-6300, 020-7686-6300, or send us an email. We have our iPads here with us and we can read your email right now. The email address is help@findinganswers.tv. We're going to go into a break. When we come back, we're going to hear Joanne's story, who went through a very difficult upbringing, and you're going to see how she overcame adversity. We'll be right back.
Life is made up of moments, some good and some bad, both of which make an impact on our lives in one way or another. Usually, it's the bad experiences that mark our lives in a negative way. Some people develop complexes, others get deeply hurt, withdrawn, traumatized, and some can never get past the pain. It's betrayal, divorce, bad news, testing moments, and the unexpected that can cause wounds to our inner souls. And it's these internal conflicts that can prevent true inner peace. And we all know that if our interior isn't healthy, then this will be reflected on our exterior also. But through faith, God can help you reach the hurt that no one else can, and help us to overcome some of the worst moments life throws at us. If you're looking for internal peace and healing, then come and receive the free bottle of holy oil for internal peace on the 1st of June at a UCKG closest to you. Use the oil and receive the strength to overcome your internal battles. For more information, give us a call on 020 7686 6000 or visit our site uckg.org.
You know, it is very difficult to change, to get rid of certain thoughts that we carry within ourselves that we've had there for many years. But it is possible. And that's where the power of prayer and the right motivation comes in. Because sometimes by yourself, you may not be able to do it, but with the right support, with the right guidance, you can be able to do that. I want to go and introduce you now to Joanne, who's here in the studio with me. How are you, Joanne?
I'm fine, thank you.
You okay?
I'm good.
Joanne, you've been attending the church now for how long?
4 years now.
4 years. When do you remember your problem starting? Where did it all start for you?
It started from when I was very, very young, like before primary school, but mostly primary school, that sort of age when everything started. It was exactly like you were saying, with the negative thoughts. Even though when you're young, it's sort of naive, but I was always fed these negative thoughts that I wasn't good enough, that I wasn't pretty enough. You know, I didn't ever gel with people.
But when you say you were fed these thoughts, where did they come from?
Well, in primary school, it wasn't that they fed them to me. In primary school, it more started when I was being left out. Nobody wanted to play with me in the playground. Nobody wanted to associate themselves with me. I was always being teased. I was always being picked on. So from then, I sort of started isolating myself because I just thought nobody wants to be with me. Nobody wants to play with me. Nobody wants to be my friend. So that it started from there. I started feeling like that I wasn't good enough to even play with them. But when I moved on to secondary school, it was like every time I progressed in education, I thought it's a new start, it's a fresh start, but it would never work that way. I would go to secondary school with the same thoughts about myself. And when I got to secondary school, it's like, that's when everything got worse because you're older and you're more your mind is more developed. So the teasing got worse. I still didn't have friends in secondary school. I still was left out, isolated myself. And it got worse, like I was told that I was ugly. I would look at the other girls and I would think, why am I not like them? And it would put me down. I would look in the mirror and I wouldn't like what I saw. I would want to be like this person.
So it's exactly like we were saying earlier.
Definitely. I would look at other people and I'll be like, I want to be like this person. I want this from this person. I want this from that person. I want to be like this person in that way. It's like I wanted to create, not a monster, but like a new person for myself.
So the one thing you didn't want to be was yourself.
I didn't
Now,
want to be myself.
tell me something. As you were developing and growing older, I say older within brackets because you're still very, very young, right? But as you started to get older, these thoughts, did they get stronger or you grew out of them?
Oh, I didn't grow out of them. They definitely did get worse. I mean, as I got older, I even tried to escape the people that were doing this to me by going to a different borough, to go to college, to get away from these people that were constantly picking on me, but there would still end up people going there, so it would just spread. It even got to a point that when I went to college, I had enough of who I was and I decided to change myself, but in a negative way. Because I was always quite a withdrawn person, quite shy. Because of all the teasing, I wasn't very confident. I didn't have the confidence to talk to people I didn't know, to make friends. I didn't have the confidence to even make a presentation in class. I would always have this fear that people would just judge me for everything that I did and just pick on me for everything. So I just kind of decided to keep my mouth shut. But
something interesting you were saying, Joanne, is that you made these decisions over the course of a few years to go to a new school, to go to a new borough, thinking it's going to be a fresh start. The thing is, you can even get rid of certain people and move to a new area, but you can't get rid of the thoughts that are in your head. They're part of you. They go with you wherever you go, right?
Definitely.
So, and no matter where you went, this problem still remained.
Still followed me.
Now, how did things progress from there? Because I know things got worse, right? What started to happen for you?
Well, from college, so around 17, 18 years old, like I said, decided to change who I was. So I put a mask on. I decided to be the opposite of who I was. So be loud, to be rude, to be sort of the bully, if I can say that.
But how could you be the bully if you're so small? And I say that with respect, because usually the idea of a bully is like this big, strong person, right? And you're not the typical bully.
Yeah.
But how did you do that? Was it like this persona that you put on? What was it?
Yeah, it's like I'd sort of, not in this way, but decided to show people who's boss before they tried to pick on me first.
Right. So you said before anyone tries to put me down, I'll put them down.
Yeah, definitely.
That was your strategy.
Yeah, and I ended up getting what I wanted. I ended up getting a lot of friends, but it was like I wasn't happy with myself. I was happy with what I had, with the friends, you know, but I wasn't happy with myself, and even started affecting my education. Like I failed my A-levels because of that. I was bunking classes, which I wasn't like that before, but because I had what I thought would make me happy and complete, that it was good enough, but it wasn't.
So, I mean, so now you had no reason, apparently, to have these thoughts of yourself anymore, because now you had been accepted and so on. But had the thoughts left?
No, they were still there.
Still there. You still didn't like yourself?
No. I even tried to dress the way everybody would dress. I started to dress very revealing, to get attention, to feel like I was beautiful, to feel like I was pretty, that I had attention from boys, to feel like I was worth something, but it still didn't work. I still felt like nothing. I still felt, you know, I looked in the mirror and I just didn't like what I saw.
So when all that failed, when trying to be accepted didn't change you, I mean, got you some friends and so on, but didn't change who you were, what was the next step up? What else did you try to do?
I started to go out drinking to fill the void. You know, I started to go to all different raves, clubs, to fill the void of feeling empty.
So drinking, you mean socially or getting drunk?
I would go out with friends, but we would just all just get a lot of drinks, like fill the table, and then just be drinking there, having fun, going to theme nights in pubs and bars and stuff like that. So I would hook up with a lot of guys. Like I would try just to fill the void, to feel wanted.
We're going to talk about that in a minute, about the guys. But how were things at home for you?
Things at home weren't great either. Like my dad was never around, so he left when I was young. And it was just my brother and sister that lived with me and my mum. And even when I was young, they moved out because they're much older than me. So they moved out, they started their own life very far away. So I didn't see them as often. So technically it was just me and my mum living in the house. And my family has a very alcohol kind of background, like a lot of alcohol involved. And it was like hell. It was horrible. Like there was a lot of violence, arguments all the time. There was never peace in my house. And I would hate to go home. When I go home, I'd just go in my room and I would just stay there because I didn't want to interact with anybody in the house.
So you didn't have the traditional family?
No.
Right? You had the family that, like you said, there was a lot of alcohol around, violence. And I mean, did that make you an angry person? Did that make you feel even worse than what you felt?
Yeah, I developed really bad anger problems.
Did you ever do anything when you were angry that you regret?
I don't even remember. I've probably done a lot of things that I regret. But it was just like, I would just get angry over things that weren't even, didn't make sense. When I think about it now, I got angry at things that just did not make any sense. It wasn't logical for me to get angry about that, but I would just get frustrated about everything, and I couldn't control my anger at all.
So it's interesting that, you know, you were saying, look, you tried to be happy by being the person that, for example, you tried to become those people that you hated. Yeah. You hated the bullies, but you became a bully thinking, if I become a bully, then I'll be happy, because then people won't be against me anymore. But that didn't make you happy.
No.
Then you tried the drinking, right? That didn't make you happy either.
No.
Then you tried the boys, which we'll talk about in a moment. I imagine that didn't make you happy either.
No.
And your house, your family was broken and upside down, right? So,
yeah.
I mean, your life was shattered.
Pretty much.
And the worst thing, I mean, I imagine, I don't know, you tell me, but what was the worst thing? Was it what was happening around you or what was happening inside you?
I think it was more what was inside of me, because it's like the outside just added on. It's like I already didn't like myself, already hated who I was, already wanted to be somebody else. I even had thoughts just to end it all, because I thought, what's the point of me living? It's like nobody cares about me, nobody sees me as being valuable to have around, so what's the point of me actually being here? So it's like all the things outside, they added on to this pressure that I had inside to be like something, to be this, you know how everyone idolizes celebrities, a certain look, a certain way to be. It's like I was trying to put in pressure on myself to be like that, and it just wasn't working.
So you were trying to be everybody else apart from
But
yourself.
myself.
Okay, after the break, we're going to find out. We want to know from you, Joanne, what was, I mean, you said you tried to go into different relationships, if you can call them relationships. I don't think perhaps from what you were saying you can, but also what was your lowest point and what brought you to find out about the power of faith and how you changed your life. So stay with us, and I want you to stop during this break, take 2 minutes to think about yourself, because maybe what you heard here is a reflection of what is happening to you now. So during this break, think about your own life, about you, because if you're going through this, if you feel like, you know, you're full of these negative ideas and thoughts about yourself, you know, you have someone here sitting in front of the cameras now, Joanne, that when she talks about how depressed she was, how messed up her life was, you can't really picture that, because now you seem really happy, right? And I know you for quite some time,
Yes.
and you're always laughing, right? You're always laughing, you're always smiling, which people who are seeing you here now happy, they can't perhaps imagine how you were, but you're going to tell us about the worst point of your life, but how you changed your life as well. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
When we want to reach our goals, we research, act, and make sure we know everything there is to know about that topic. We study hard because that is the intelligent thing to do. This is the same for our development as a Christian. The Faith School is designed for those who want a degree in spiritual growth, those who want to separate time to study the Holy Bible and follow God's path for their life. There is no admissions fee, and it's suitable for every level of learner. You will learn how to interpret the Word of God for your daily life and become stronger internally. Do you want to find inner peace and spiritual strength? Then this course is for you. The Faith School, every Wednesday at your local UCKG Help Centre. For more information, call 020 7686 6000 or visit our website uckg.org.
Here's what the people in the streets of London have to say about thinking and feeling. Are they thinking or feeling?
Oh, well, this is a very tricky one because
Tonight on Finding Answers, we're discussing the biggest battle between the heart and the mind. Are you a thinker or a feeler? We're on the streets of London asking the public, does it affect their decision making? Let's see what they say. Do you consider yourself to be a thinker or a feeler?
I guess a thinker. A thinker? Why? Because I don't know, I think really hard. I like to think a lot with my decisions. I don't know, it's really hard to make a decision. I think on like why, pros or cons.
A thinker.
How would you say that affects your decision making?
It makes it more reliable than what you feel, although what you feel is most important, but that doesn't give you the answers that thinking can give you.
I'd like to say feeler, but probably more of a thinker.
How would you say that affects your decision making?
Probably think more logically, making my decisions, but would probably rather go with my feeling. If that makes sense.
Thinker.
How would you say that affects your decision making?
Well, I don't think it does affect. It doesn't affect my decision making in any way.
Probably a thinker. Yeah.
So how would you say that affects your decision making?
Well, I'm pretty indecisive, so it always takes me a while to kind of decide what I'm going to sort of do, as it were. So maybe I should be a feeler. I'm not so sure, but yeah, I think things through too much.
Actually, I think one of the worst things is to work with indecisive people, right? It's better for you to make a decision. I mean, you have to think about the decision, but sometimes you have to just try to do something because it's better than doing nothing. Doing something is always better than doing nothing because at least you learn through trial and error, right? So, Joanne, you had tried many things to make yourself happy, to get rid of those negative thoughts you had about yourself. Yeah. So then you started hooking up with boys, right? I'm not going to ask you what hooking up means because that's a subject for another show and I don't really know. But, I mean, what was the idea behind that? Did you think that if boys would like you, then you would like yourself more?
Yeah. I thought that getting their attention would make me feel loved, would make me feel valued, would make me feel worth something. Because it's like, you want that attention, especially women, they want that attention, they want that kind of affection, and I thought that would
Did it make you feel loved?
No, actually, most of the time I felt used. I felt disgusting, felt rubbish. It made me feel even worse, if I'm quite honest.
How did those, not relationships, but those people that you met and you hooked up with, whatever you call it, how did that go? I mean, did you ever have a relationship that you felt happy with, or none of them really?
Well, not really, because every person that I'll be with, I would always have this, like, feel jealous, or I would be maybe suspicious, or I don't know, like have these thing in the back of my mind that, oh, they're doing something behind my back, or they're cheating on me or something like that. Because even though I was with them to feel better about myself, it's like because I didn't think good of myself, I thought that they weren't happy with me, so they would be doing something else. And
you know, there are people, I've heard a lot of people say that they always need to be in a relationship because they can't stand to be by themselves.
That's how it was.
Is that how you felt?
That's how it was. Like I would bounce. Like one would end and then a few weeks later I'll have another one. And it just kept going like that.
So you didn't enjoy your own company. Tell me something, what made you decide to take a step to look for help, to say, look, I need to do something? I mean, why did you decide to come to the church, for example?
Actually, I was invited by a friend of mine that I knew from secondary school all the way up. And we actually stopped talking for a while because I thought, no, if I have this friend, she's just gonna make me feel worse about myself. So I cut her off. And then she called me one day, like, oh, because they have a youth group within the church. She called me to come one day. And I was even thinking, why is she calling me? I don't understand, like, what does she want from me now? But
you thought she wanted something from you.
yeah, because it was 2 months, we had no contact, and out of the blue, she just called me. So I thought, what does she want now? So when she invited me, I went along. It took me a while, a few months of her inviting me to come, but I went along because she said it was going to be fun. And when I went there, it was like the environment was so different. It was a very positive environment, and it kind of drew me in, because I'd never been in an environment like that before, where everybody was so welcoming, but it wasn't fake. You could just tell it wasn't fake. It was natural.
So it wasn't like the other environments you had been in, which everyone was welcoming, but it was all fake, right?
It was like everybody was welcoming, and it was nice. It was real, and I felt, even though I didn't know them, I felt like I was wanted, if that makes sense. I felt like these people care for me, but I have no idea who they are. So as I was going to the youth group, as I started going to the church, people were very supportive. They were very they would motivate me to do better. And I would hear so many stories of people that were like me. They didn't like themselves. They had low self-esteem, and they managed to overcome these thoughts. They managed to start loving themselves for who they are. And this really, I thought, wow, if they can do it, then why can't I do it?
How hard was it for you to overcome all those negative thoughts you had about yourself?
I mean, it wasn't easy. It did take a good few months to overcome the negative thoughts. But because I had people around me that were positive, and they kept saying, no, you can do it. You know, don't listen to these thoughts about yourself. You're not like that. You can do it. Because they sort of had that belief in me, made me believe in myself more. And so eventually I was able to believe in myself without the need of others to keep boosting me up all the time. I mean, it wasn't easy. It was a battle, because they would always come back, and I would always, you know, to make me feel small, to make me feel like I was nothing. But it was like I had to decide to think positively about myself. That was the only way that I'll be able to overcome. 'Cause if I listen to the negative thoughts, then I'll be negative.
So that environment that you had around you, those people that told you, look, you can do this, and perhaps there were days where you felt low, right?
Yeah.
But they were still there telling you, look, you know, you can change your life and so on.
Definitely.
That was quite important.
Definitely, it was very important for me.
Right.
Yeah.
And who are you today, Joanne?
Oh, I can honestly say I'm a completely different person. I don't have, like, I always get negative thoughts, but I don't allow them to control my life, because I know who I am as a person, and I don't need to be like anybody else. And what the good thing is, today I'm able to pass on that positivity to other people, to other young women as well, that feel negative about themselves, because I'm me, and I love who I am. Not perfect, but who I am is who I want to be, and I wouldn't want to be anybody else.
So you don't have that struggle where you try to get bits and pieces from other people and try to be like them?
No way. I want to be like myself.
And you no longer want to die?
No, I want to live.
That's
live a
great.
long life.
So you see, Joanne, the change that happened to you in a short space of time, because I mean, you've been now in the faith for 4 years, right? And you said it took a few months for you to really change, and you are going to continue to change, because everybody keeps changing for the better if you have the right direction, right? But do you believe that what happened to you can happen to anyone, or is it something that, you know, you were lucky to have that? Was it a matter of luck, or everyone can benefit from that?
Everybody can. It's just a matter of decision, what you decide to do. If you decide that you want to, you know, to value yourself, to kick out these negative thoughts, then you decide to do it. Anybody can do it. But I think it's very important to have that environment around you of positivity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like I was saying, you know, that the worst thing, one of the worst things, is to deal with people who are indecisive. I mean, it's terrible, because you tell them, look, try this, it's going to help you. And then the person says, well, I don't know if it can help me or not. And, you know, sometimes you say, James, I don't know if this is going to help me. I don't know. I've thought a lot about it. But sometimes you have to just try it. Just try it. I mean, if it didn't work, you know, you just ticked one box that doesn't work. Now you have one less to try. Go and try something else, and that's going to work. So sometimes you watch this program, or you hear people speaking to you that if you try this, it's going to help, and you say, look, it sounds good. I just don't know if I should try it. And perhaps you just have to try it. Try it, and if it works, great. And if it doesn't, well, I'm not going to say if it doesn't, because it's going to work, right?
Yeah,
it works for you and it's going to work for those who
to.
use their faith. Now I have Kimberly here with me. She's going to read us the mail of the day. How are you, Kimberly?
I'm good, thank you. Good
Go ahead.
evening. Okay, good evening all. And the mail of the day is, I have cursed myself over an overactive brain. I started to worry more, mainly after my first serious relationship at 18. It was very stressful. In some ways, I think it broke me. Now I probably would think enough for 3 people. Also, I've been unemployed for 5 months now. And I know I get bored and have too much time on my hands. Plus, I've also gone through quite a few blows to my self-esteem throughout the years. Now I'm in a 2-year relationship that constantly I think will end badly. And half the time I can't tell if I'm just making mountains out of molehills or there's something seriously lacking. 80% of the time it seems to be my mind. I just feel crazy because, of course, I just want to be happy, but I feel like I'm self-sabotaging.
Sabotaging.
Thank you.
Sabotaging. I hope that's how you say it. If it's not, it doesn't matter. Go ahead.
Exactly that. Please, what advice do you have? I'm really suffering.
Candice, look, I think it's very important that we think before we act. But there is such a thing as overthinking something, right? Think about it. They usually say that good footballers, they have a very quick thinking brain, because when you're about to decide whether you pass the ball in front of goal or whether you kick to score, you need to make a very quick decision. Now, in life, you don't usually have to make decisions that quickly. You have a bit more time. But if you dwell on something for too long, it's like we were saying earlier about the indecision. If you start dwelling on something, for days and then months and you don't come to a decision, time is passing you by and you're going to start feeling complacent with your life, and that's not going to help you. So my advice to you is this. Don't overanalyze things. If you are in a relationship for 2 years and you don't think it's going to end well, I wouldn't advise you to pack up the relationship. I would advise you to see where is it that you think things are not going well, and start working on those things improving, right? Because the good thing about a relationship is that it's a long-term thing. You don't quit a relationship just because something is going wrong. What you do is that you try to improve it and you make it better, right? Every time that you work on a relationship, you make it better. So don't think that the relationship will end badly. It's an interesting thing because the Bible has an answer for everything. And the Bible says a man, very famous man in the Bible, a lot of people have heard about him, Job. Job said, "What I most feared has come upon me." And usually a lot of the things that you start being so negative about, they end up happening. Not because you attract these things to you, but you know what? When you're afraid of something, if you're afraid that something will go wrong, you usually don't act to put those things right. And because you didn't act, they do go wrong. So they didn't go wrong because you thought they would go wrong. They usually go wrong because you didn't do what you had to do to fix the problem. So my advice is, find out what could be a solution to the relationship, see where you can improve it, and act on it. Okay? And don't overanalyze things. Think about it and then act. A great decision is always followed by an action. You can make the best decision in the world. If you don't act on it, it's worthless. Okay? Now what I'd like you to do, especially you that you say, look, James, I struggle a lot with negative thoughts about myself, about my family, about my future, my career, and you want help to get rid of these negative thoughts. I have here in my hand a glass of water that we are going to use now in the prayer. We're going to bless it. And we're going to ask God that when you drink of this water, you will start tonight to fight back against these negative thoughts and you will overcome them. We're going to go into a break. I'll give you a few minutes for you to prepare your glass with water. When we come back, we're going to ask God to help you overcome this negativity that is perhaps around you and is impeding you to go forward. Okay, if you'd like to do that, prepare a glass with water. We're going to go into a break. When we come back, we'll be going to the prayer.
Click on to uckg.org for all the latest happenings at the UCKG Help Centre. It's dynamic, interesting and full of content that will add to your daily life. Keep up to date with all the latest info and events up and down the country at a UCKG closest to you. There's something for everyone and you're invited. Check out what we've done previously and update your calendar with what's coming up next. Ladies, especially for you, presenters and authors Nanda Becerra, Esther Becerra, Chris Cardoso and Viviane Freitas share with you advice on becoming a better woman. Read their top tips on health, beauty, love and well-being, all aimed at helping you become the woman you were created to be. And if you're looking for food for the soul and personal development, then check out messages from world-renowned spiritual leader Bishop Macedo, as well as character-building blogs from Bishops Renato and Celso Jr. It's spiritual intelligence for your life. And for all you young guys and girls, why not check out our section dedicated to youths? Real talk, real advice, and a whole lot of fun. Catch cool clips of their shows and listen to the catchiest VYG record track. Want some inspiration? Watch our live transformational videos, recent programs, plus all the promos and coverage of some of our best shows and events.
Hello, very good evening to all of you. This is Finding Answers.
Finding us is easy. Wherever you are in the UK, find the UCKG nearest to you at a click of a button. uckg.org. All you need at your fingertips.
So we have here already Pastor Alvaro and Joanne, and we are ready for the prayer. We are going to pray now on your behalf, asking God to help you overcome these thoughts, these negative thoughts that perhaps have been controlling you and putting you down. So if you believe that God can help to renew your mind, actually the Bible says this, that He renews our mind, then let's talk to God right now.
Prepare now for the moment of prayer. If you would like a prayer for your general well-being, send your name and prayer request to prayer@findinganswers.tv.
My Lord, in the name of the Lord Jesus, we enter in your presence right now knowing that you are the one, the only one who knows our minds. Apart from ourselves, you know what goes on in our minds, in our hearts. And you know, my Lord, there are a lot of people who put on a great show of confidence, of self-belief, but underneath the mask, like Joanne says, there is a lot going on, a lot of struggles, a lot of problems, things that are hidden from others, that nobody knows, that only this person knows what goes on under that shell. Perhaps they have struggled for many years, their whole lives, with this negativity and complexes and negative ideas that things won't get better, that there isn't a future for them. But I pray right now, my Lord, that you find the root to such thoughts, these negative thoughts that perhaps tell this father that he cannot provide for his family. Perhaps he just lost his job, is struggling, and maybe these thoughts are there that he's not a good enough leader for his family. This mother who maybe is struggling as a single mother to provide for her children, and their thoughts, they're telling her that she's not doing a good job. Perhaps this person who just graduated from university, and they think that no door is going to open for them. And then again, my Lord, who doesn't have negative thoughts about themselves sometimes? But the problem with this person is that maybe there has been this dark cloud over their head, a dark cloud that they're struggling to overcome. They cannot perhaps think anything that is good, that is positive about them. But in the name of the Lord Jesus, we determine that your hand, your power reaches out to this person to lift them up. Just like you lifted up Joanne, you can lift up this person now. And let this prayer, this water that they will drink, mark the beginning of a life where they will overcome the negativity that perhaps was controlling them. So I consecrate this water now, and when they drink of it, let the freedom begin here tonight. In the name of the Father, the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. You can now drink of this water there where you are. I'm not going to lie to you. Overcoming negative thoughts is difficult. And I'll tell you why it's difficult. Because it's something that's been part of you, perhaps for years. So to get rid of something that's been with you for years is not easy. Right, Joanne?
Yes.
Not easy.
It's not easy.
How long did it take you?
Probably around about 7 months.
7 months, right? But it was the power of prayer and the right support and guidance that helped her to do that. And like I said, it's not easy, but it's possible. With God, all things are possible. I want you to keep that in your heart and in your mind, okay? We'll be back with you again tomorrow. Until then, have a wonderful night. May God bless you.